You're watching BBC News. I'm Martine Croxall. The number of MPs vying for the Tory leadership has been reduced to 7 following the first of a series of votes to determine who'll take over from Theresa May. Further rounds of voting will continue until there are only 2 contenders in the leadership race. Then it will be down to the party's 160,000 members to decide who should take charge in Downing Street. Well, to discuss the prospects for the remaining contenders, we're joined by Westminster lobby correspondent for the Press Association, Jennifer McKiernan, and political editor of The New Statesman, Stephen Bush. Welcome to both of you. Any surprises in who's gone out?
Not really, in terms of who's gone. In terms of the scale of Boris Johnson's win, perhaps. But yeah, I think we were all really expecting Andrew Leadsom, Esther McVey, Mark Harper to go out. They just didn't have the support.
Can he be stopped? Boris Johnson?
No, I think it doesn't look very much like he can. He's crossed that vital mark of 105, a third of the parliamentary party plus one. The reason why that matters is once you've got that number, no amount of tactical voting, of course, by the remaining 2/3 can keep you out of the top 2. I think the other reason why this is such a good result for Boris Johnson, as well as his own strength, is because the other candidates are so bunched together. Instead of anyone thinking, OK, right, how are we going to take the front runner out? Instead, they're all going to be going, OK, maybe I can get to the top 2. You know, I've only got to get a couple of votes from Michael Gove. I've only got to get a couple of votes from Dominic Raab. And all of that means that he can, be the front runner, kind of do these very carefully controlled media appearances and just quietly wait until he wins.
But what happened to the anybody but Boris theme that seems to be running through a lot of the Conservative Party not that long ago?
It seems to have splintered away. When you look at the hard time that Michael Gove has had over the weekend with all these revelations around cocaine, it's probably quite a surprise to Jeremy Hunt's supporters when he came through with a big support from Penny Mordaunt, of course, Amber Rudd, that he's still only six points ahead of Michael Gove. So I think really we're looking at people, potentially Rory Stewart could still come through as the dark horse, maybe, when you look at who's there. But I think the soft Brexit supporters really are going to have to make some hard decisions over who they do want to go through.
Yeah, I mean, what are the kind of conversations that take place in a situation like this, behind the scenes, where are people sort of lent on a bit to sort of give up, to stand down, even before the next round of voting?
Well, yeah, there'll be 2 types of conversation that will happen. One, the kind of various essentially there are 2 contests, right? There's the contest to be the candidate of a hard Brexit. That's been definitively won by Boris Johnson. And the pressure that will be put on Dominic Raab by allies of Boris Johnson is, look, now is your moment and you can throw your weight behind him, you can still get a good job, or you can push on, be crushed, and you will have a less good job. And on the other side of the aisle, there'll be this argument of, well, look, it's time for us all to unify around Jeremy Hunt, Michael Gove, Sajid Javid. But again, because they're so close together, and as Jennifer exactly says, right, there's every chance even Rory Stewart could somehow be the second candidate, which means no one's going to want to pull out, I think.
But the favourite is never supposed to win.
They're never supposed to, but when you look at how far ahead, I mean, Boris Johnson's 71 votes ahead of his nearest rival. It's just crazy.
But how much different will it be if he is forced into some kind of, the public debate that the BBC is going to host, for example, where it's not going to be that carefully managed appearance, is it? He's going to be put on the spot. Well, that's what I'm expecting Emily Maitlis to do.
Well, I think, to be honest, the big risk for Boris Johnson in the televised debate isn't whether or not he's put on the spot or made to look a bit silly, because you also what happened to the Stop Boris Johnson campaign. What happened was the polls became really awful and people thought we're going to press the button marked Boris Johnson is the winner. The risk to him is not any of these candidates attacking him in this TV debate, but if, say, Sajid Javid, who we forget most of these other candidates, the average person doesn't know that well, let's say they really impress the viewing audience and suddenly, Javid mania spreads through the country. Maybe, I mean, it could happen, but maybe that could be what threatens him. But I think his big advantage is he is seen as the election winner and none of the others are.
Yeah, but it's not the entire viewing public who are going to get to choose, is it?
It is only the Tory membership. At the end of the day, he's basically through the MPs voting, and he just has to win the membership support. And we already know that the membership far and away supports Boris Johnson over the rest, unless, as you say, a dark horse does come through and manages to win over people. I think Boris Johnson is still going to be seen by the vast majority of members as the person to beat Nigel Farage. That's who they need to beat.
What policies does he need other than a can-do positive attitude about Brexit?
Well, I mean, this is the kind of big question, right? Because for the last 2 years, there's been this vow of silence about the loss of the majority. I mean, one cabinet minister once said to me that talking about was like speaking of a death in the family. Then we're now having this leadership election in which we're forgetting that none of these people can enact any policies, right? That whatever direction you try and govern the Tory party from, there are more than 4 MPs who disagree, and than 4 MPs can veto everything. So in many ways, the only thing which really matters is this someone, from their perspective, who can lead them into an election and maybe get a better result than they got last time.
But Brexit is the thing that whoever wins has got to try and tackle in some form or another, and the options are no different, are they?
The parliamentary arithmetic does not seem to have changed. We had the vote yesterday. That was quite interesting. The cross-party vote where Labour was trying to push again for MPs to back, to back this idea that you can block no-deal Brexit, but it didn't work. It failed. So once again, we're stuck in this limbo where there's no obvious way out. It doesn't matter if it's Brexit with a deal, Brexit without a deal, or cancelling Brexit. The MPs don't seem to know what they want.
Europe has been catastrophic for so many Conservative leaders. What's to stop it being a problem for the next one?
I mean, nothing, I think. I mean, even if, let's say that somehow Boris Johnson or whoever can find a way of transmuting lead into gold and passing this deal, right? Well, we'll still have decades of arguing about, this is just about choosing whether or not to leave. This is just choosing to get divorced. This isn't what's the flat we're going to move in afterwards going to look like. And that will continue to split the Tory party until we're all, grey and old.
Who's your money on? Would you rather not say?
It's so hard not to say Boris Johnson at this point.
Yeah, it has to be Boris Johnson.
OK. Thank you very much. Jennifer McKernan from the Press Association and Stephen Bush from New Statesman. Thank you both for coming in. It's time for a look at the weather forecast now.